Hello and welcome to another 12-minute mark. We're right in the throes of the crucifixion. It's like a race. It's so rapid fire here in Mark. There's been, in just the first third of chapter 14, we've had the Passover, the preparations for it, the Lord's Supper, Judas betraying Jesus, Jesus predicting the denials of Peter and the other disciples. And it's just like a race. It's so rapid fire here of what happens. We don't have a lot of monologue or teaching. It's just a play-by-play, very fast, like it's a race to the cross. And so we will then start here in chapter 14, verse 27, or no, verse 32. Now they've been out to the Garden of Gethsemane, and they're on their way there, and it says, they went to the place called Gethsemane, and Jesus said to his disciples, "Sit here while I pray." He took Peter, James, and John along with him, and he began to pray, and he was deeply distressed and troubled. "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." He said to them, "Stay here and keep watch." Going a little further, he fell to the ground and prayed that if it be possible that this hour might pass from him. "Abba, Father," he said, "everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will." Then he returned to his disciples, and he found them sleeping. "Simon," he said to Peter, "are you asleep? Could you not keep watch with me this 1 hour? Watch and pray that you do not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak." Once more he went away and prayed the same thing. When he came back again, he found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. They did not know what to say to him. Returning a third time, he said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Enough, the hour has come. Look, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer." Just as he was speaking, Judas, one of the 12, appeared with him, and a crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders. Now the betrayer had arranged a signal with them. "The one I kiss is the man. Arrest him and lead him out under guard." Going at once to Jesus, he said, "Rabbi," and kissed him. Then the men seized Jesus and arrested him. One of those standing there drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. "Am I leading a rebellion, that you come out with swords and clubs to capture me? Every day I was with you, teaching in the temple courts, and you did not arrest me, but the scriptures must be fulfilled." Then everyone deserted him and fled. A young man wearing nothing but a linen garment was following Jesus. When they seized him, he fled naked, leaving his garment behind. Well, there we have, again at breakneck speed, the prayer and the arrest are the two major stories here. And, during the Olivet Discourse in the prophecy, he said, in terms of the end times, the cost of discipleship is to watch and pray and to stand firm. And Jesus gives them that command, watch and pray with me. And we see it happen 3 times. 3 times that they will fall asleep. Now, it is late. Passover went way into the night. A Passover meal involves drinking a significant amount of wine. And they're groggy after a large, huge meal, and they're outside. It's dark. It's quiet. There's an absence of something that has been around all along since the beginning: the crowd. And this is the opportune time. How did Judas know exactly that they would be in Gethsemane? Maybe that was prearranged. It's strange. But they had the Passover late into the night at Mark's house. And they're going to go to the garden to pray, and then probably back out to Bethany outside of Jerusalem to spend the night the way they've been doing. And so it's not that big of a shocker that they would be outside, but there's no crowd there to support him. But you find them falling asleep, and he says, I know that you're not attempting to fall away, but you must stay awake. You must watch with me. And it might be that they might think that this was their betrayal. In a sense, this is sort of a betrayal. Jesus said, I'm overwhelmed and sorrowful to the point of death. Please watch and pray as I go over here and pray myself. And they fall asleep 3 times. And I guess that maybe they thought that was their betrayal, because in a sense it is. But that's just the beginning. This is just the beginning. Jesus says, pray and watch, and they rest and sleep. And so they're already defeated. They're already sort of in a state. The stage is set now for them to run away and to deny him. That's already been set into motion. And he prays that the cup may pass, and of course it doesn't. Jesus gets an absolute firm answer in his prayer from the Father, and the answer is that this cup will not pass. That the original mission to go to the cross will continue. And as soon as Jesus gets that answer, and he goes back to the 3rd time and finds them sleeping, he says the word enough. It could also be translated even it is paid, meaning that the exchange, the betrayal has actually taken place. It's an interesting word there. He says the hour has come. He prayed that the hour may pass, and now he's told the 12 that the hour has come, or actually the 11, because Judas is with them. Look, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. Whenever he knows that the Father has given him the firm answer that the cup will not pass, that the hour will not pass, he stands up and he walks directly to Judas. He doesn't run. He doesn't hide behind a tree. He doesn't even keep praying that the Lord may change his mind. God has made up his mind, and Jesus, in complete boldness, walks right up to the betrayer coming with them. That's sometimes overlooked, but it's a real boldness of Jesus to walk right up to them, and he knows what's going to happen. And of course, he's greeted, and there's just the irony upon irony that they have chosen, that Judas has chosen a kiss of all things to be the betrayal signal. And there's a mob there. There's been a crowd all along that's been amazed at what Jesus has done, and now there's just simply a violent mob. Now the Pharisees, the teachers of the law, the scribes, the elders, all those who have been trying to kill him, they're not there. They're not going to do their own dirty work. They have basically a gangster mob that's going to take care of the actual arrest. So they fear the people. They've been living in fear their whole time, and they're not even going to, have the guts to be there when Jesus is actually arrested. So they go to arrest him, and now Peter and them, they feel quite guilty perhaps. They've been falling asleep. Peter has promised that he wouldn't betray, and so he's not going to run. Peter's going to make good on his word, so he starts swinging his sword. He cuts off a person's ear. That's probably not the most strategic point of attack, but that's what happens when you give a fisherman a sword. And Jesus says, he stops them and he asks them the question, why would you come out and take me at night? I was with you. I'm not leading a rebellion. I was with you all day long. And again, he's pointing out their fear, the fear and cowardice of those who are supposed to be leading. That's the main idea. And then Jesus's prediction, the fulfillment, is they all leave. He is deserted. I mean, they had a plan. It's like, hey guys, Peter's looking maybe at the other 10 and saying, this is it. This is where we fight to the death. But once Jesus when Jesus, who's been teaching that he's running a different kingdom all along, says that this isn't how I do things in my kingdom, they still don't understand Messiah, and they don't really understand kingdom enough to say, okay, if he's going to be arrested, let's be arrested too. Let's go with him. Let's fight in his kingdom, his way. Instead, they flee. And they flee in every direction. So again, as we see exactly like Jesus said it was going to happen, it unfolds exactly in that way. And everyone else seems to be a pawn in the plan of God. Then there's this interesting little section here that we only see in Mark, when it says that there was a young man in nothing but a linen garment was following Jesus. When they seized Jesus, he fled naked, leaving his garment behind. Throughout all church history, it's always been believed that that is Mark. It was common to put the author of the story somewhere in the story, and almost anonymously. That was a practice. And we know that he's having, Mark was not one of the 12, of course, but they're having the meal at Mark's house. Mark is probably a young boy. They're in the upper room. He's probably supposed to be in bed by the end of the Passover. He's maybe asleep. He sees them all go out to the garden. He puts his bed sheet around him, and he kind of follows. It's pretty exciting. Young guy, and Jesus is having Passover at your house, and he follows, and then at the end, he's close enough, and as they all run, one of the guards tries to grab him and gets his bed sheet, and he runs away naked into the woods there, back into the garden. And so it's always been the idea that was most likely Mark. It doesn't really fit. We don't know for sure, but it's a strange little story there, and that would be one reason why it's there. So next time we'll hit the rest of chapter 14, which we see Jesus before the Sanhedrin and Peter's disowning of him. God bless.